We climb those walls of innocence. The journey into manhood leaves diffidence in the dust. These dividends of lust turn love into intimacy, and hope into victory. But do take it slow, for days will come when it will snow, and suddenly that love will grow into infants of those instances where love becomes indifference. We climb those virgin walls when pleasure calls us to the bedsheets intertwined. We find that liberation from the labels of our minds. I want to talk about losing your V card. Now, for those of you who don't know, I was a virgin up until I was 20 years old. I'm currently 22. Okay, so literally last year, at the beginning of last year, I believe January or February last year, I lost my V card. And some of you may have seen the video where I explained my experience with losing my V card. And in that video, I underlined some of the mistakes that I personally made. So I won't touch too much on that, but I want to talk more about some of the common mistakes that I feel like a lot of people make, or I'm at least assuming that a lot of people make based on my experiences and the level of knowledge that I had about having sex for the first time. Okay, now the first thing that you guys need to understand is that sex will change your life and it won't change your life at the same time. And what I mean by that is I do feel like sex is a vital step toward being a man in a sense, and I don't mean that in the masculine way, but I mean that in terms of being an adult. Having sex does something to you. Okay, if you notice, the people who have sex at younger ages tend to be more mature in certain ways that can't really be explained, but can be observed. And I feel like having sex is, like I said, a big part of that. Now, in the poem at the beginning of this video, I said, we climb those walls to innocence. The journey into manhood leaves diffidence in the dust. These dividends of lust turn love into intimacy and hope into victory. Essentially, what I'm saying is that in losing your virginity, you develop a newfound sense of confidence that projects itself as maturity, right? And that's why I say that you become more of a man when you have sex. That confidence that you develop can't really be gained from any other area. But at the same time, I feel like that confidence can be overblown. When you're a virgin from the outside looking in, it's easy to sit there and think that losing your virginity will suddenly make you the coolest man alive. And at the moment, it might make you feel that way. But over time, you'll realize that you're not really that different, okay? You're just a more confident and self-assured version of yourself because at the biological level, you now know that you're capable of fulfilling your basic need for reproduction. Now, with that being said, the first bit of advice that I have for you guys who are about to have sex for the first time, okay, if you're watching this video, the chances are you already have a girl in your mind. You have an opportunity coming up this upcoming Saturday or anytime in the near future where you might be in a position to lose your virginity. The first thing that you need to do is lower your expectations. Lower your expectations, not just for the experience itself. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but also for the effects of the experience. Don't think that it's just going to change your life in this drastic way. Like I said, it will make you a more confident version of yourself, but you'll still be you at the end of the day. Okay, now some people, maybe they do let it change them. They let it turn them into a person who chases after hedonism, who chases after sex, lust, and instant gratification. Okay, but if you're watching my channel, the chances are that is not you. Okay, sex really isn't going to change your life as much as you think it is. So lower your expectations. Now, as far as the actual experience goes, lower your expectations for that as well. Okay, your first time is going to be awkward. It's not going to be comfortable at all, especially if you haven't really explored those waters with this person before. Okay, because sex is probably one of the most vulnerable things that you can ever do. Now, with that being said, you need to be open and honest with your partner prior to having sex for the first time with them. Okay, and I need you guys to really, really understand that. You can't sit here and build up your partner's expectations when you know that you're a virgin and you know that that first time is going to be awkward and uncomfortable. Now, if they're not a virgin, the chances are they're going to come from a place of understanding. Or even if they are a virgin, they'll have to understand you because they'll know that you're in the same position as them. So they probably have the same fears as you. Okay, you're both going to be nervous. That is normal. Okay, for the first probably 4 or 5 times that I tried having sex, I couldn't even get it up. I thought I had erectile dysfunction, but I was just nervous. It was pre-game jitters, if you will. A lot of you will probably experience something to that effect as well. Maybe not that drastic, but you'll feel it. You'll feel that tension and that anxiety. But when you lower your expectations and you're open and honest with your partner from the get-go, a lot of that nervousness will subside come game time. Now, what do I mean by being open and honest with your partner? First of all, tell them that you're a virgin. I'm not telling you that you have to tell them that on the very first date, but at some point between the first time you interact with them and the first time you have sex, you need to make it abundantly clear that you are a virgin with little to no sexual experience. Me, I had no sexual experience whatsoever before I lost my virginity. Okay, I had literally just gotten my first kiss a few months prior to that. And the person that I lost my virginity to knew all of this. Not only because I told her, but because she saw me make videos on it. She watched the videos that I made regarding my lack of experience. And she was still on board with the idea of helping me lose my virginity. Not for the sake of losing my virginity, but just as a means for building our relationship. Okay, so you have to be open and honest. If you're afraid that your partner will not want to have sex with you because you're a virgin, you need to really reassess if the person that you're with is worth spending your time on. Okay, you have to really, really think about that. There will be people who reject you because you're a virgin. I'm not going to lie to you about that. There are people out there like that. But at the end of the day, those people are not worth your time, and they're definitely not worth your body. Okay, those are people that you do not want to lose your virginity to. In addition to that, be open and honest about what you're working with. Okay, don't build a girl's expectations up and have her thinking that you're built like a porn star when you know you're not. You see, one thing that you'll never hear me say is that I'm packing something crazy. I will never come on this camera and tell you that, because if I have a prospective wife or a prospective girlfriend watching this video and she hears me say that, now she's going to have these unrealistic expectations about what I have to offer. But in reality, I'm not packing like that. I'm not packing anything crazy. And you have to be open and honest about that with your partner. I'm not saying you need to just tell her unprovoked, but don't build up her expectations is basically what I'm trying to say. Don't build up somebody's expectations or they're going to be disappointed. If you set the bar very, very low, there's no room for disappointment because you're just giving them what you advertised in the first place. Now, something else that I said in the poem was, "For days will come when it will snow, and suddenly that love will grow into infants of those instances where passion becomes indifference." Now, I need you guys to really, really pay attention to that. Okay? Use protection. Use protection. I don't care what anybody says, bro. The first few times that I tried having sex, the first time that I successfully had sex, I thought, I'll just pull out. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, even before you finish, you still leak into your partner, and that is capable of producing children. Most of you watching this are probably in your teens or maybe even earlier mid-20s. Use protection. You're not ready to have a kid. Okay, you might think you are. I promise you you're not. And the first pregnancy scare that you have, hopefully it doesn't happen to you, but the first pregnancy scare that you have will make that abundantly clear. Okay, there is nothing more scary than the prospect of having a child when you are not ready to have a child, when you're not ready to raise a child. And that brings me to the next bit of advice, which is to get contraceptives. Get a plan B. Keep it on standby. Okay, there is nothing worse than having to go to Walgreens at 9:39 p.m. and you're in a state of complete disarray, you're distraught, you're shaking, you're scared out of your mind because you don't know what's going on. It's best to avoid that by preparing in advance. Okay, so not only should you have protection on deck, but you should also have contraceptives on deck in case the protection fails, because it might. I'm not going to say that it will, but it might. And if it does, it's good to have a plan B, literally and metaphorically. Have a plan B. Get contraceptives. Okay, now something else that I said in the poem was, we climb those virgin walls when pleasure calls us to the bedsheets intertwined. We find that liberation from the labels of our minds. Now, basically what I'm saying in that section of the poem is that when you lose your virginity, you drop that label. from your mind, okay? And that's where a lot of the confidence comes from. It's from you dropping the label of virgin and the stigma associated with it. The chances are your friends have gotten on you about being a virgin. And now you feel like being a virgin makes you less of a man. But it doesn't. It does not. Okay, there is nothing wrong with being a virgin. I do not regret waiting until I was 20 to lose my virginity. Could I have lost it earlier? Yes, I could have. At the time, I probably didn't see the opportunities, but they were definitely there in abundance. They were right there in front of me, and I didn't take them, and I do not regret it. Because even though the person that I lost my virginity with is no longer in my life, to me, it was worth it. It was worth it to wait for that person, somebody who actually cared about me and cared about my well-being, right? And wasn't just trying to get something out of me. Wait for the right person. That doesn't mean that that person will be your lifelong partner, that you're going to get married and spend the rest of your lives together. But wait for somebody who belongs in your life at that moment in time. Don't just go out and try to have sex for the sake of losing this label. Because if you let that label bring your self-worth down that much, yes, you'll get some confidence from losing your V card, but it'll be temporary. You'll find something else to hate yourself about, because that's where you are mentally right now.